Business owners, executives, and entrepreneurs, get your pen and paper ready and tune in Sundays at 1 p.m. for Evolution Strategies, Business Sustainability and Growth Simplified. You must evolve to meet the challenges of today's marketplace. This is the only show in the Philly metro area that walks you step by step through success factors that make or break your brand. Want some free advice? Call in Sundays at 1 p.m. to talk to your host, Carolyn Lighty, and a panel of experts for Evolution Strategies, Business Sustainability and Growth Simplified.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Carolyn Lighty, your host for this edition of Evolution Strategies. Well, we've welcomed 2014, and while a few economic indicators point to opportunities, others still point to hardship for many of our residents and business owners. For example, our unemployment rate here in the state of Delaware is reported at 7.4%. But contrary to popular belief, that doesn't mean that 7.4% of the population is unemployed. It means that it's 7.4% of those who are actively seeking work, plus those that are in the labor force. So it doesn't count those who have been unemployed for a very long time because a lot of them have given up looking for work. So sometimes the numbers can be a little bit misleading. So as I've mentioned in the past, there are a lot of resources in our area that are designed to help you, whether you want to become an entrepreneur, start your own business, or whether you need career development. And one of those resources is the Delaware Technical College, a community college here in our area. The college offers comprehensive educational opportunities that support economic development and are relevant and responsive to the needs of the community as relates to career growth and retraining, transfer education, workforce training, professional development, and entrepreneurship. So joining me this afternoon is Paul Morris. He's Director of Corporate and Community Programs with the Stanton and Wilmington campuses of Delaware Tech. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Carolyn. How are you?
I'm great. Good. So, when we think about the economy and just unemployment, are you seeing right now, as it relates to enrollments and the types of services or information or education that people are looking for, do you think that's changed because of the economic outlook?
I think it's been pretty constant for the last maybe three to 4 years. Mm-hmm. We're seeing a pretty steady need for individuals that are not only looking to find either a new skill or be retrained in an area, mm-hmm. But we are really seeing, I'd say in the last 2 to 3 years, there's more individuals that look at entrepreneurism or starting their own business as an option, and maybe that wasn't the case in the past. Yeah,
and I think that on previous shows we've talked a little bit about that. If you can't find a job, it makes sense today to try to start your own.
Absolutely.
And I think technology has made it a little bit easier to do that. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In the past you had to find local training, but now with the internet and the ability of taking courses online or getting information online, I think it really does open the nation and the world to folks in Wilmington and Delaware.
So before we went on air, we were talking a little bit more about the mission and your objectives as it relates to the department or the programs that you head up. Tell me a little bit more about that. I think that's of interest to our listeners.
I'm the Director of Corporate and Community Programs at Delaware Tech's Stanton and Wilmington campus, which our area of operation is Newcastle County. I have colleagues in Kent County and Sussex County that do very similar mm-hmm. work. And what we really do is I've said in the past to colleagues and all of those in the community that we're the community in Delaware Technical Community College. Mm. And really what our main mission, our goal is economic and workforce development. So we're really looking to help those members of Newcastle County, whether they be members of just the local community that are looking to gain additional skills or sharpen skills that they have. We work with the local business community to train their incumbent workers, the workers they have now, or also build a pipeline of future workers. Mm-hmm. We work with government, we work with other institutions and organizations. So we do a lot in a lot of different areas. We're talking today about entrepreneurship and small businesses, but we also work with any type of organization, company, whether it be small, medium, large, in helping them meet their bottom line and improve their product or service.
So basically, the programs available through Del Tech relate specifically to the industries and the needs of the state, in terms of the trends. For instance, healthcare, I've read some reports where we've lost a lot of healthcare jobs. So that wouldn't necessarily be an area where you're offering a program. But if there was an area where there's growth, is that how your programs are somehow put together?
You make a great point. I mean, you really have to. We constantly look at where the need is, because we can train an individual for a particular job skill for a job, but if there's no longer jobs in that area, then we're training someone for a skill that's no longer needed. So we're constantly looking at the environment, the workforce environment, to see what's hot. I mean, what jobs are hiring right now, and it's interesting that changes back and forth. It continues to change. There are jobs that at one I'd say maybe 2-3 years ago maybe weren't as relevant, but are becoming relevant again.
Looking at the environment.
They're becoming more relevant because of the way things have changed in the industries.
Absolutely. I guess the example, a good example is pharmacy technician. There were a lot of openings for a pharmacy tech, I'd say 3 to 4 years ago, that we saw, at least with partnerships with Walgreens and some of the larger the pharmacies. And then the last 2 years, they started to just dip down slightly. So we had to actually, react to that dipping. We had to make sure that we weren't putting as many trained technicians out there, because, if someone's going to come to Delaware Tech and pay to be trained, we want to make sure that they have a job at the end of that.
Right, exactly. That makes sense. So are you able to right now kind of tell us a little bit about some of the fields that are a little more progressive or hot now versus, maybe later, maybe 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think healthcare is always there's always a lot of need in healthcare. We've seen a spike in the last couple years, and it's also something you hear a lot, in different mediums. But manufacturing is definitely making a return when it comes to not only small and not even large manufacturers, but small and medium-sized manufacturers. And it's kind of a segue into entrepreneurism, because there are a lot of individuals that have a skill set when it comes to creating a product, making a product, manufacturing a product, and they are now starting small businesses manufacturing that product.
Manufacture their own products. That's excellent. We are being joined also, we're talking to Paul Morris, who's Director of Corporate and Community Programs, Stanton and Wilmington campuses of Delaware Technical Community College. But also we're being joined by Kaleef Lloyd. He's a social strategist and PR professional. We like to be able to talk about the technologies and the media and how, once you get your product or service out there, especially as an entrepreneur, you need to know which technologies are helping you to reach your desired customer. And Kaleef has written several blogs, and he seems to be somewhat of an expert out there. I've read a lot of the things that he's written, and he's a smart young man. So I invited him to be on the show. Good afternoon, Kaleef.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you, Carolyn, for having me.
Excellent.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we're gonna continue talking a little bit about Del Tech and what they have to offer and some of their partnerships as it relates to entrepreneurship. So, feel free, and at any time I may ask you to jump in as well on some of the comments that we're making, okay?
All right. Sounds good.
Real good. So let's talk a little bit about the partnership that you have, Paul, with Kaufman Foundation. I know that there's several programs that you're running out of Del Tech that relate specifically to what you're doing with them.
The Kaufman Foundation is housed in Kansas City, and when we had an opportunity, we meaning the college had an opportunity to go out to Kaufman, to Kansas City last January to participate in a program called Fast Track. And Fast Track is a educational program that Kaufman offers in 3 areas: new venture, growth venture, and tech venture. And we are now the only affiliate in Delaware of Kaufman Fast Track. We offer programs in all 3 counties throughout the year. Right now, just a new venture. We're looking at rolling out growth venture in the fall and tech venture next spring.
Okay.
And that's a 30-hour program. It's 1 night a week for 3 hours for 10 weeks. And we bring in job coaches, and we bring in entrepreneurs to work with the students, not only our instructors and our facilitators, which I'm one of, but we bring folks from the outside that actually that are working in the business community, that have created businesses to kind of coach and walk students through this process.
Do you find that people are hungry for information and being educated as it relates to going into an entrepreneurial position?
Yes, and it's interesting. I think I've always had kind of an entrepreneurial spirit. I've always wanted to build something. I always wanted to take that risk. But I've also been kind of I haven't done that.
The stability is also quite attractive.
It is, and so it's interesting though. The last couple of years with working with entrepreneurs, it's kind of awakened that in me. I mean, the passion for working on your own and doing your own thing and making your decisions. And I mean, you kind of live by the sword, you die by the sword. But it's definitely very exciting.
What about you, Kaleef? What do you think about that? As far as your own personal experience.
I was going to add some comments. I think as you're beginning to start your own type of way to move in, as you start your own business, I think that, like just as he mentioned, just the hunger for information and it being out there and it's all there for you to go out and seek it and learn new skills. Every single day, there's tons of content out there in different ways where you can learn new skills and help you kind of become a better all-around person and help you get the job that you want to get.
I think it's interesting. One of the things that I know that you've written about, a reading list for success. When I think about hungering for knowledge and the comments that you're making, that was something that you had published in the Philly Ad News.
Yes.
Okay. And what was the content that you shared with the readers as related to reading books and how that may help? Or maybe not help, or where do you find the information?
I think that it's important to always continue reading and get books that are going to help you out in your field. The books that I wrote in YP Reading List for Success that I suggested are some I felt that you really need to know as you enter the marketing field. And I think you don't just stop there. You also have to go out and search for different types of books that's going to help you grow professionally and internally as well.
Well, give me an idea of one of the books at the top of your list.
One of the books that's on top of my list right now would probably be Michael Brito's book, the Next Media Company. Okay. Your Brand, the Next Media Company. That one, it talks about how the industry is changing. Social media has changed the way how we do business, how we interact with each other, and people are looking for information, looking for ways, and they're creating their own content. So brands and companies, they need to create their own content to kind of cut through the clutter and give consumers what they want, which is to be entertained, because they're creating their own content, their own form of entertainment.
That's interesting. In getting back to Fast Track and the things that people learn, in addition to kind of the building blocks, do you also talk about marketing and all of that as well?
Absolutely. The course is actually broken down into the 5 to 7 aspects of starting a business: marketing, financing, relationships, product, those type of things. And it's nice that it's 10 weeks because we work with the students for those 3 hours, but then we give them kind of homework or things to look at in their own business plan that they're trying to create. And so they have a week to kind of do some of that work and then come back. And then as a group, we talk about it. And like in any other traditional classroom, the students learn from each other as well, which is always positive.
So do they come prepared? Do they come back with having completed their assignments? Because these are people that I'm assuming some of them may not have actual jobs. They might be, unemployed, and this is their next step, their next big opportunity. But are some of these people currently full-time employed and then, using this as a way to move out into entrepreneurship?
I think that's probably the case with most. We just ran a course at our Stanton campus, I guess October through December, and it was for veterans. So Kaufman actually has some subsets of groups that they really look at and target. Women is one, veterans are another, baby boomers is another. And so we ran a course just for veterans, veterans of our armed services, and it was very, very interesting because there were individuals that most of them were already working somewhere and were looking to start maybe a side business, but there were some that were very eager in having a career change, and they really wanted to do it now. They didn't want to work into it; they wanted to take the leap and get in. And that's where the motivation comes from. Those individuals came and they were ready, and they wanted to push the class because they know they wanted it now and not later.
Lloyd, Kaleef, did you have a comment? I'm sorry on that.
I just wanted to ask, as part of the program, are they also being taught how to use social media because of, as they're beginning to start their own businesses and kind of get out there? I think that's important for them to establish their presence early on.
It's interesting. I would say 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have said that I saw that a lot, but definitely now, most individuals, and some of it has to do with age. I mean, you can see the younger entrepreneurs; they're already socially connected when it comes to media. They have Facebook pages, they have Twitter accounts, they're out there, so they strive what they're doing through that medium, and I think that's helped. That's helped from a marketing sense for their own business.
And I agree with you. I think that up until I'm going to even say maybe 5 years ago, I can think. Let's see, I've been back here now 2.5 years. When I was in Miami working with a company that had a software product for hotels, for the hotel industry, and it was about call accounting, keeping track of the calls and billing and all that other stuff. And one of the owners said, wow, and this was like 5, 10, maybe 8 years ago, I think I'd like to have a Twitter account. And I said, well, what are you going to do with it? Who wants to know what you're doing? Who's going to, you need to understand. A lot of times they'll hear as new things come out, everyone's like, oh, maybe I want some of that. Maybe I want one of those. But they haven't really developed a real strategy internally to determine how that's going to really impact their bottom line. It's just something, the new shiny toy that I want to go after. So, and this was a company, and this is important about the strategy part of it. This is a company that had maybe 7 actual full-time people working there, and they had major accounts. But one of the main things that they told me is that they didn't want people to know the size of their company. So I said, if you're going to be tweeting, that's a personal relationship you're building. So therefore, eventually they're going to realize it's only a few of you, with the company, because the tweets are only coming from 1 or 2 people. Same thing with Facebook and all of that other stuff back then. But now more and more businesses, as you said, are getting involved with Facebook, having Facebook accounts. The LinkedIn was initially the main, I'm going to say the main tool for business owners, or business people, professionals. And now we've kind of moved out into, and I went reluctantly, I went to Facebook and Twitter as well. I don't tweet as much as others, but this is my outlet, the radio. So
yeah.
But there has definitely been a trend towards more and more businesses getting involved with social media, and there's much more information and analytics that talks about how that really does begin to set your brand in the minds of your potential customers.
You mentioned analytics, and I think that's a key. I mean, when I think of analytics, I think of sports, because you see a lot of analytics is being used more and more in sports over the last 10, 15 years, but it really has been used in business for hundreds of years. I mean, you need to know what your customer base is, what they're buying, what they can buy, what they would want to buy, and all that data can be used and analyzed to make good decisions for a company, especially a small company, because you don't have the support, you don't have a marketing team, or you don't have a finance team. So, having entrepreneurs understand analytics, understand the importance of data will help them be successful. That's for sure.
So with Fast Track, have you graduated folks already through this first 30 hours? Have they actually gone on and been able to implement?
Yes, we had a college-wide, so statewide, we had 3 programs run in the fall. One at our Owens campus down in Georgetown, Delaware, one at our Terry campus in Kent County, and then one at our Stanton campus in Newcastle County. And so all 3 of their programs graduated. I think we probably have a total of 25 to 30 graduates. Okay. And they, with new venture, they come to us not necessarily with a business already developed. They're developing the idea in the business, and hence the word new venture. But we're going to target growth ventures, so looking at existing companies in the next year. So it won't be just inclusive of new companies, but existing ones as well.
So as I'm looking at a bulleted list of some of the things that the course covers, it goes through identifying and meeting market needs, evaluating the concept and plans for moving forward, developing a working knowledge of business fundamentals such as marketing, so key, product and service development, management, and financials. Financials is another weak area most entrepreneurs run into because they have a passion for whatever it is that they're selling or whatever service they're providing, but very few of them go into it, understanding bookkeeping and accounting and the whole tax structure, even the incorporation aspect. Why should I incorporate? Which I've had Inc. now on, and he's also one of our advertisers. I've had them on the show to talk about the importance of incorporation and how that protects your assets and so forth. But I think that it's very comprehensive in terms of what you provide for them. It's kind of like that initial nurturing environment and giving them the knowledge that they need. So once they graduate, what follow-up do you have?
Well, for our first classes, we basically, as they graduated, the instructors in all three counties, they were entrepreneurs. They were people that were already working in the field. They also were individuals that have taught Kaufman Fast Track in the past, whether it be in our state, but also in New York and surrounding states. So they have a network of individuals that they opened up to our graduates. And really what we left with the graduates were, please keep in contact with us. We'll keep in contact with you. So as they have a need, we can maybe help guide them in the right direction to fulfill that need. What we really are looking at moving forward is, grant funds to support business coaching moving forward. So once they graduate, assign them a business coach,
some kind of
a life coach, someone that's going to work with them, because even though you can call and get a question answered, or go online somewhere and there's a resource you can get information for, having that person,
something structured and
that
more
you can
formal,
talk to, and maybe even on an informal basis too, just to say, I'm worried or I'm anxious about doing this, and this, and what are your thoughts? I think that's very, very helpful for success.
Now, is there a financial component to this? Is there assistance, or at least an opportunity for them to find an investor or that kind of thing?
Not yet. I mean, that's where we couple it with other programs that we have. I've been on in the past with you, Carolyn. We talked about 1 million cups, and we're going to talk about it today as well. And that's where we can guide some of our students to participate in 1 million cups as an audience member, because that's where we are bringing the entrepreneurial community together, and there are investors in the room, or there are individuals in the room that can connect someone to an investor, and that's important.
That's good. So that's the resource called 1 Million Cups, which is also another one of the programs that's out of Kaufman, the Kaufman Foundation group as well. And we're going to actually take a quick break and then come back and talk a little bit more about 1 Million Cups, and then we're going to get a little bit more in detail about some of the social media strategies and other things that can help to get your brand in front of your potential customers. We'll be right back in a couple of seconds.
Welcome to Wilmington, Delaware. At Preservation Initiatives, we bring beautiful lofts to you. The recently renovated lofts at 400 Market Street are a must-see. A part of registered National Historic District. Featuring spacious floor plans, custom glass windows, solid surface countertops, stainless steel appliances, custom lighting, wood flooring, large closets, pocket doors, sunny interiors, high ceilings plus beautifully detailed trim molding. Enjoy the sights, sounds, and tastes of Market Street. Just a short walk from the Wilmington riverfront, featuring family-friendly places to enjoy, with plenty of restaurants, entertainment, and other small-town conveniences. Wilmington, Delaware, in the middle of it all. Reserve today. Preservation Initiatives, urban revitalization through historic preservation.
Preservation Initiatives is a wonderful, wonderful gem that we have here in the city of Wilmington. Don McGinley, its founder, has been developing historic properties since 1979. He's had properties in Boston, Miami, Philly, and now Wilmington. If you want to contact Preservation Initiatives in reference to any of the residential or commercial properties, please call them at 302-543-7565. That's 302-543-7565.
You can't. Do those magic words motivate you? Has anyone ever told you that you can't? You can't be an entrepreneur. You can't be a business owner. You don't have what it takes. How many successful businesses started without incorporating? I'm John Williams, the president of Inc. Now. For 39 years, Inc. Now has been incorporating first-time entrepreneurs just like you. Over 15,000 companies. from mom and pop businesses to worldwide enterprises. InkNow.com, based in Delaware, can have you incorporated in only a few minutes for $298. InkNow makes starting your LLC easy. Learn more about what InkNow can do for you. On the web, visit incnow.com. That's incnow.com. What do you have to lose? If you think you can't be an entrepreneur, then don't. I'm here to tell you, you can. Plant a seed. Ink Now. Dreamers wanted.
You're listening to WFAI 1510 AM. Welcome back to this week's edition of Evolution Strategies, Business Sustainability and Growth Simplified. If you're just joining us, get your pen and paper ready for more free advice from Carolyn Lighty and her guests.
Welcome back. This is Carolyn, your host at Evolution Strategies. We're talking this afternoon with Paul Morris, Director of Corporate and Community Programs, Stanton and Wilmington campuses of Del Tech. And also, we're talking to Kaleef Lloyd. He's a social strategist and PR professional in the greater Philadelphia area. Before we went to break, we started talking about how some of the entrepreneurs that may come through your Fast Track New Venture program could then potentially find an investor or at least be able to network with other entrepreneurs through 1 Million Cups. So let's talk a little bit about what 1 Million Cups is and what the opportunity that is that exists through that program.
I mentioned earlier that myself and a couple colleagues went to Kansas City back in January of 2013. While we were there being trained as facilitators for Fast Track, they presented an opportunity for us to participate in something they called 1 Million Cups, and it was founded in Kansas City at the Kauffman Foundation. And basically it was once a week on Wednesdays in the morning. They do it from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And they invite the entrepreneurial community out there to listen to two entrepreneurs pitch their business. Mm-hmm. And it started 7 months prior to when we were there. And the very first, they explained this to us, the very first day, they had, the first on 1 Million Cups, they had 11 people in the audience. Well, wow. the participation that we had, the day we were there was 300 in the audience.
Wow! Oh my gosh!
So in 7 months, they built this ecosystem, this entrepreneurial ecosystem that everyone from academia, from chambers and associations, they all come together once a week for an hour and share a cup of coffee or some water.
Or chai. Can I have chai?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If you bring it, I guess. We provide water and coffee.
And coffee. I'll bring my own.
So they come together and they share a cup of coffee and sit in the audience and listen to two entrepreneurs give their pitches. And there was one gentleman that pitched he started by saying, "I'm not looking for investors. I'm fine from that perspective, but I want to share my company with you." And it was a tea company, which is kind of interesting.
Wow.
And the other pitch was like a printing company, and they weren't as ready. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting because that community can support all entrepreneurs at all levels. Mm-hmm. And so it's a 6-minute pitch, and then following the 6-minute pitch by an entrepreneur, there's 20 minutes of questions. After the 20 minutes of questions, so if you do the math, that's 26 minutes, and then you do that again, another 6-minute pitch, and another 20 minutes of questions. And then the other 8 minutes of that hour is there's an organizer, a leader that kind of gives announcements that are impacting the entrepreneurial community, sets up, always explains what 1 Million Cups is, because we always have new people in the audience. Mm-hmm. So we want to explain why they're there and what they're going to be hearing. And then we open up maybe the last minute or two just for people to stand up and give announcements if they want to. And
that's cool.
It's very community oriented. Mm-hmm. So we really fell in love with that concept. We thought that something that we could bring to our communities. We piloted it down at our Georgetown location, which is the Owens campus, and they started in July, and then we started in Wilmington in November, end of October, beginning of November. Mm-hmm. And so we meet every Wednesday. We meet actually at 7:30 a.m. We've kind of decided that and based on feedback that we received, we heard that people want to get on to their day. So 7:30 to 8:30, and we have it's at our Wilmington campus of Delaware Tech, which is 3rd and Orange Streets, and it's in our conference center. Our guests come in, our presenters present, and then afterwards, and we always keep it to 1 hour. We don't go over.
That's good. That's very good.
So what we've found is that we have about 25 to 30 people that are coming every week. And then we have some new folks. We've been averaging probably 30 to 35 people in the audience. We've had as much as 50 to 60. And I think the smallest audience we've had so far was about 20. Our goal is to have at least 100 by summertime, and consistently building this community, because that's really what we're giving to the presenter. So if someone agrees to present, they go. There's a process, and I'll explain that in a minute. But as they go through that process, one of the kind of promises that I give them is that this can help first of all, it will help you perfect your pitch.
Yes.
So the more you talk about your business, the more you talk about what you do, it helps you refine that. People have called it an elevator speech, or that 3 to 6 minutes of what do you do and how do you do it. But it also allows that audience to give feedback, and that's been very valuable to our presenters, because presenters not only get a chance to perfect their pitch, but they're getting direct, instant feedback on how that pitch was received.
Yes, that's good.
And that's been very valuable.
Has there been any connections with investors and those who have presented yet, or that you're aware of?
I know there have been conversations.
Okay.
So I guess I guess connections would be the right word.
Yeah.
You kind of. Usually you can tell who the investors are because they ask very poignant questions. They ask questions about numbers and valuation and those type of things. But I will say this: it wasn't created to be a Shark Tank.
That's what I was going to say. Does it kind of take shape as that kind of?
It doesn't. And we try not to allow that to happen. I mean, we don't want it to be a situation where it's a room full of investors. Obviously, investors are welcome because they can help entrepreneurs, and that's always great. But we really want it to be, I mentioned, this entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Yes.
This community, I guess, venue where people are coming together to have common purposes that can help each other, support each other, and that's what we're trying to create.
Yeah, we talked before we went on the air a little bit about how fragmented our particular entrepreneurial communities are, and the different resources, and getting everyone to kind of work together to help, bring more folks out to like a 1 million cups type of opportunity, and also to kind of help support each other a little bit more. Do you want to speak a little bit about the fragmentation and what we think we can do moving forward to kind of ease that?
When I first started getting involved with 1 million cups, let's say almost a year ago, you heard that from other communities as well. That you heard that they have that they struggle with the fact that there are a lot of people doing a lot of things, but they're not really on the same page. And that's true in Newcastle County. It's true in Delaware, and it's true in Wilmington, where there are a lot of great things happening. But we don't always have, I guess, direct and continuous communication amongst those areas.
Yeah.
And one thing we're trying to do with 1 million cups is create this opportunity once a week that's constant, that the entrepreneurial community can come together, and hopefully that will build the communication so we don't have as much fragmentation. And I think baby steps, but I think we're starting to make some progress there.
Yeah, and you mentioned communication, which is why this weekly show, along with what you're doing weekly, we're going to be partnering a lot more to kind of bring some of those presenters to the listeners so that they can find out a little bit more about the entrepreneurs that are in our community and what they're presenting. Maybe there's collaborative opportunities when you do something like that as well, because even though it's my idea, I may have this water bottle, but maybe you have something that goes with a water bottle, and maybe we can join forces. You were going to say something, Kaleef, on that?
Well, yes. Actually, you just mentioned what I was going to say. I think there's a lot of collaborative opportunities there with entrepreneurs that are coming out the program to feed off of each other and kind of continue growing that way.
Yeah. Give us some information about how they can either register to attend or even to become a presenter.
We have a website that's www.1millioncups.com/Wilmington. And that will take you directly to our Wilmington site. If you didn't put the /Wilmington, you would go to the 1 Million Cups national site, which is fine because you could find us through that. But if you just add the /Wilmington, it'll take you directly to our Wilmington 1 Million Cups site, 1MC Wilmington. And on that site, there are 2 buttons that you can click on. One, you can click to attend, but you don't have to go through that route to attend. You can come any Wednesday from 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. at the Wilmington campus of Delaware Tech and participate in the audience. But if you want to, you can actually say you're coming. We just get an email saying you're coming, so it really that's not necessary. But if you are interested, if you're an entrepreneur and you're interested in presenting, and this is a really key point, if you go to that website and click on the button that says request to present, that will put you in queue, and then I will contact you. And that's important, because what we're really trying to do is, in order to feed that pipeline and get 2 presenters every week, we need to have more entrepreneurs queued up in our system. So it'll allow us to work with them. And what I mean by that, once I have an application, it's a very short, probably takes 5 minutes for an entrepreneur to fill that out. Once they fill that online, I'll get notice that there's a new application. I'll go in, and first thing I need to do is qualify that they kind of fit what we're trying to do with 1 Million Cups with entrepreneurs. And what we're trying to really do is work with startups that are less than 3 years of age when it comes to the company, and that are scalable. So the true definition of a startup. It doesn't mean that we haven't or will not work with someone that's maybe been in business for 4 years, or maybe been in business for a while, but they have a brand new venture. So that, we would want to bring attention to that as well. But it gives me an opportunity to look at the application, kind of see who they are and what they do. I contact them. Once I accept them as to present, then they'll receive an email from me with another link that brings them into the Kaufman Foundation system, which will give them online tools to prepare for their pitch and to give them some really good information for their business, and then they present.
Can I have a quick question for you? One of the reports that I read not too long ago was how it might have been a few months ago, was about how startups, they normally don't do well after their first year. And one of the questions I have is, I wonder afterwards, and you talked a lot about this, about connecting with each other after they graduate the program. How are you continue to encourage them to continue to push themselves, despite if it doesn't work? If they don't see success right away.
I think 1 Million Cups is a great way to do that, because it's a weekly program where if they attend, not to present, but if they attend to just be a part of the audience, it keeps them connected to the entrepreneurial community, to the resources within that audience, and then also to us at Delaware Tech, because we're hosting. So I think, and we have other partners as well. The Coin Loft and Started Up Delaware is a partner, and so having those resources available to them on a weekly basis, I think is key, and it also allows them to kind of learn from each other and the pitches that they hear. So if they are listening to someone pitch a brand new, for instance, this upcoming Wednesday, we have a young man that has a skateboard company, and he graduated from one of our entrepreneurial business program at the Wilmington campus, and out of that program he developed this company, and so he's fairly new at this, but someone in the audience, they can kind of learn from what he did if they're not there yet, or if they are more experienced than he is, they can kind of connect and see how they can support him. And we are seeing a lot of that dialogue after the presentations are over. We're seeing a lot of people talking, exchanging cards, and I just think that's one more resource that will allow those entrepreneurs to have support moving forward.
And I think you mentioned, trying to work into some kind of coaching program. That would be a nice way to transition them from, okay, I've gone through this part of it now. I've tried everything. I've gotten it started, but I'm still stressed out. I'm still having challenges. So I think it's important also, we talk about not becoming a silo unto yourself. You need to get out and mingle with other folks so that number one, you're not the only one having challenges, and that there are solutions out there. And I think that as we're trying to build this entrepreneurial ecosystem, there are tons and tons of resources that are coming together to be there to help. I just think it's about communicating that, and I think maybe that's where the social media part comes into it. Content marketing, email marketing. I don't know if there's any of those parts, for instance, involved in terms of the 1 Million Cups. Is there a newsletter? Is there a blog? Is there some way where they can continue to get more information about individual subject matter? Some things like that.
And I think that's crucial. For when they're first getting started, particularly if you're not, if you don't have a big budget. If you can sit down and write about what you're doing, how your business is doing, it gives people a chance to connect with you, and it also gives it's an outlet. So it also gives you a chance to write about your business, and it increases your business awareness, and it also drives people to your site. So now they have a chance to see what product you may have in store.
Yeah, I remember looking at the fast track information on your site where it talked about some of the businesses. I don't know if this was from the local site, but there was an area where people were able to talk about their successes. If there was a way to kind of further engage the community based on the folks that have presented at 1 Million Cups and kind of bring them in with fast track and kind of keep those conversations going, I think that might be a way to help support each other.
Yeah, agreed. A couple of things. One, Kaleef, you mentioned social media and the importance of blogging and getting the word out on what you do, and that's we agree 100%. 1 Million Cups is an opportunity to do that physically in space, but we also we have you can follow 1 Million Cups on Twitter, on Facebook, and that allows you to connect and also respond to what you saw that Wednesday to keep that communication going for the week. And that's really our ultimate goal. I'll be the first to admit that we're not there yet. I mean, I have to do a lot more as the lead organizer with Twitter and Facebook. I need to do a better job there, and I think we're headed down the right track. When it comes to the connection between Fast Track and 1 Million Cups, it's kind of opposite because right now with New Venture, those Fast Track participants don't have a business yet. So what we need as they develop their business, then they would be a great candidate to present at 1 Million Cups.
Yeah.
But until they develop their business, having them participate in 1 Million Cups as an audience member is great because it will help them further develop their ideas and thoughts to get their business up and running.
And I think that some of the entrepreneurs come out the program. I think it's important for them to pick outlets or pick a social media platform that they're consistently going to be on. I think that's more important than trying to be, say, like, if you're going to have a Twitter and you're going to have a Facebook, you're going to have a Tumblr, you're going to have a YouTube. I mean, now you have to keep up with all those channels, and you may not be able to pay attention to each. So I think it's more important that they focus on, say, if they're going to do the Twitter, to focus on doing the Twitter, and do it well. I don't think that it's important for you to stretch themselves too thin, where they're going to be on different social platforms and not be able to use it all effectively.
Yeah, that's true. And that can easily happen because you want to be everywhere. And we tell them from a marketing perspective, I tell everyone, you want your brand to be everywhere and anywhere that someone's looking for your product or service. But in terms of being able to engage them and providing fresh content, if you're not able to keep up with it, if you don't have the resources internally in terms of human resources or the time yourself to spend on it, then you're right. You need to decide, okay, which one of these can I effectively manage on a weekly, at least a weekly basis.
That's correct. And one of the DJs that I'm working with, one of my clients in New York, he struggled with that. He's on all different social networks, and only really out of the 7 that he would sign up for, there was only 3 or 4 he was actually using regularly. So once he was able to cut that number down and focus his attention, he's seeing bigger returns on people downloading his music and buying it, and are just coming out to his shows. And we're not even talking about the strategic part, just him cutting down on the uses, just spreading himself too thin.
Why don't we, that's a nice segue into telling us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, some of your, I know that you have your own private company, but then you also work in the casino industry. Talk to us about your background a little bit.
Yeah, so for the better part of the last 4 years, I've been freelancing, just providing businesses with consultation on social media, PR, and just helping them out in any way that I can, even if it comes from a design point of view. And also, on top of that, I also work nights right there in the casino industry, and I've worked various positions there. And working in the casino helped me learn the basics about connecting with people and seeing their insights firsthand, and it still helps being there, getting to see what type of technology they're using on a day-to-day basis, and what exactly they expect as a consumer, and when they come down.
I saw that you attended Full Sail.
Yes.
And I'm considering that. My daughter is currently going to DCAD, so I was thinking, and that's only a 2-year college. So I would love to go back to Florida. This weather is killing me. But sending her back down to Orlando to go to Full Sail would be great. What was your objective in pursuing an education there?
So initially, when I was looking for a master's program, I wanted something that was going to challenge me, and one of my weakest kind of skill. My weakest skill was design, and I've always been drawing and designing things, and I've always been interested, but I never knew how to use it strategically or in a program. Know how to use the program. So that's what led me to Full Sail. It gave me a chance to not only challenge myself, because I didn't know how to use Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, and the most importantly part, using it to find design solutions. And after I graduated Full Sail and went through the program, it's been one of the best things I've done for myself.
That's great. And I look at some of the how can I say, the subject matter that runs through a lot of what I've seen that you've written. You talk a lot about engaging consumers. You just mentioned how important it is and one of the subjects was humanize your business for success in the digital age. Tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that. You touched on it, with saying that you need to focus on one of these media in terms of social media, and how you need to keep it fresh and keep it up to date. But what do you mean about humanizing the business for success in digital media?
So when I say humanize, and just how you said it, to sum up, find a lack of a better word, is all about engaging people. You want to find the best platform that you're not only going to be able to reach consumers, but engage them. It's going to help you cut through the clutter and get directly to them, and they're going to love you. The more you act as a self and use less corporate speak, the more the consumers will be able to connect with you more on a personal level. Because you have to understand, every day they're faced with different marketing messages, not only from print that we walk outside and see, but also on your computer, on your laptops, on your tablets, on your phones. There's always a message being sent to you. So what is the best way but to be able to connect with them, and then they can say, hey, I love this brand. Now they're going to tell their friends. And then, as we know, word of mouth is still one of the strongest forms of marketing, or the strongest. So once they tell their friends, they tell their friends, and now you've grown a following.
And that's good. I mean, reputation and reviews have become extremely important in today's age, and that's business to consumer. But how important is social media? And this is for both of you. How important do you think it is to have a good social presence on a business to business type engagement? For instance, an investor. Does an investor care if I have a presence in social media? Do you think?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I think it speaks to your brand. I mean, the more you get your brand out there, and the more you kind of drive to your brand, you're going to get the attention of lots of people. I mean, and if you do it wrong, you're also going to get the wrong type of attention. So I think what Kaleef is saying is I think he hit the nail on the head. You have to make sure that you focus your attention on one avenue, because unfortunately, we're very busy people. Humans end up doing a lot of things, and you can start getting stale in one area, and then the message you send is that, okay, I'm not as active, and you don't want to send that message. So if you can kind of focus on one area, I think that I agree with that 100%. But I also think that you have to make sure that you craft the brand properly as well. And a real 15-second story about brand awareness and being true to yourself, and what your message is. The founder of 1 Million Cups out of Kansas City, out of Kaufman, he volunteered at Kaufman. His name's Nate Olson, and Nate, I believe, is 23 to 24 years old. He's a very young man.
Wow.
He came to the college, came to Delaware, down at our Georgetown campus, to visit 1 Million Cups. And our president, our executive vice president, some of our other leadership were there. And obviously we're a community college, so we usually wear jacket and tie. He was in the audience, and for a while there, no one knew who he was. He had jeans and a T-shirt on with Converse sneakers, and so when they had a summit this past October, and that we were invited out to the summit, and he must have sent me 10 emails saying, "Hey Paul, make sure you leave the tie and jacket at home. Leave the tie and jacket at home," because the way they communicate is they're relaxed, and he wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be uncomfortable because of how I was dressed, but he also didn't want me to make other people uncomfortable. I think.
I got you.
So it is really important how you communicate and how you come across, and really also understand your audience, because there are times where if I walked into a meeting with sneakers, jeans, and a t-shirt, I'd be in trouble because of who's in the meeting. But there's times where that's appropriate, and with entrepreneurs, especially younger entrepreneurs, being comfortable and being who you are is very important.
Yeah. Interesting, because when I do a lot of trainings, corporate training, I talk about mirroring. You have to mirror your audience or mirror your prospect. Absolutely. If you're going out to make a sales call and you're calling on someone who's in corporate America, you're going to dress a little bit differently. You're even going to speak a little bit differently. If you're going to the auto repair shop and you're making a sale in that particular environment, you might dress down. But I've had people try it the other way, and it doesn't necessarily work. If you come in overdressed, if you walk into an auto repair shop in a suit, they think you're like the IRS or someone coming after them. Like, who is this coming after me?
That's right.
But so it's about making them feel comfortable, and you're absolutely right. So that's really key. What we're going to do is take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the big changes that we feel are being projected for 2014 as it relates to small business owners, kind of like their wish list in terms of what they're going to be doing and how technology is going to impact their businesses going further into 2014. So we'll be right back.
Welcome to Wilmington, Delaware. At Preservation Initiatives, we bring beautiful lofts to you. The recently renovated lofts at 400 Market Street are a must-see, a part of registered National Historic District. Featuring spacious floor plans, custom glass windows, solid surface countertops, stainless steel appliances, custom lighting, wood flooring, large closets, pocket doors, sunny interiors, high ceilings plus beautifully detailed trim molding. Enjoy the sights, sounds, and tastes of Market Street. Just a short walk from the Wilmington riverfront, featuring family-friendly places to enjoy, with plenty of restaurants, entertainment, and other small-town conveniences. Wilmington, Delaware, in the middle of it all. Reserve today. Preservation Initiatives. Urban revitalization through historic preservation.
Preservation Initiatives is a wonderful, wonderful gem that we have here in the city of Wilmington. Don McGinley, its founder, has been developing historic properties since 1979. He's had properties in Boston, Miami, Philly, and now Wilmington. If you want to contact Preservation Initiatives in reference to any of the residential or commercial properties, please call them at 302-543-7565. That's 302-543-7565.
You can't. Do those magic words motivate you? Has anyone ever told you that you can't? You can't be an entrepreneur. You can't be a business owner. You don't have what it takes. How many successful businesses started without incorporating? I'm John Williams, the president of Inc. Now. For 39 years, Inc. Now has been incorporating first-time entrepreneurs just like you. Over 15,000 companies, from mom-and-pop businesses to worldwide enterprises. IncNow.com, based in Delaware, can have you incorporated in only a few minutes for $298. Inc. Now makes starting your LLC easy. Learn more about what Inc. Now can do for you. On the web, visit incnow.com. That's incnow.com. What do you have to lose? If you think you can't be an entrepreneur, then don't. I'm here to tell you, you can. Plant a seed. Inc. Now. Dreamers wanted.
You're listening to WFAI 1510 AM. Welcome back to this week's edition of Evolution Strategies, Business Sustainability and Growth Simplified. If you're just joining us, get your pen and paper ready for more free advice from Carolyn Lighty and her guests.
And And welcome back. We're talking with Paul Morris, Director of Corporate and Community Programs, Stanton and Wilmington campuses of Delaware Technical Community College. And we're also talking to Kaleef Lloyd. He's a social strategist and PR professional who's in the greater Philadelphia area. Welcome back, gentlemen. So before going to break, I said I wanted to kind of throw out some things that I read on a list. I was looking at an infographic of what small businesses want in 2014 or what they're going to do, how they're going to change what they do at work. So one of the things, we talked a little bit about Facebook, and it was saying that there's more than 645 million views on local Facebook pages, and 75% of monthly active Facebook users in the U.S. are engaged in conversations with and connected to a local brand. What do you think about that? Does that make a lot of sense in terms of the way that's growing? Lloyd, you can. Kaleef, you can go first on that.
Absolutely. The way how people are constantly joining the platform, I think they said is been almost 1 million people a day, or less than that. So when you speak in terms of growth, Facebook is continually growing, and it seems like no matter how much we talk about Pinterest or Twitter or Tumblr or even Google Plus, Facebook still reigns supreme. So I look at how it's going to affect small business owners and even their most recent changes to their ad policy and their reach. And it's going to be interesting to see how small businesses are going to be able to approach Facebook this year because of all those changes and because they're changing their ad format,
right.
They're adding in video, and it's all great ways that you can reach consumers. But I just wonder because of it seems, and I'm not sure if you read these reports, where it says the reach. Your reach is falling down. And Facebook kind of wants you to buy more ads. And I wonder how many small businesses and brands are going to stick around. And I think they will, because of the sheer number of people you're going to reach every single day.
Yeah, it's the volume. Did you want to comment on that, or?
Yeah, the only comment that I really have, I actually agree with everything Kaleef said. I think one great thing about Facebook and is from an ad perspective is it's very cost effective and it's targeted. So obviously you can spend your marketing dollars. They go further if you can target it properly, and you can and it's not going to break the bank when it comes to cost. And so I think they've done a really good job with that. And as that market grows, obviously then it gives more opportunities to do that type of marketing. So I think that's going to be a plus.
Yeah, the same infographic mentioned that Twitter and YouTube mobile apps rate second and third, respectively, for small business owners in terms of adoption in 2014. And YouTube is the second most used search engine. And a lot of, business owners don't realize how simple it is to create a video and pop it up there, and you put in the right keywords, and that also improves your ability to, in terms of the Google search results and anywhere that you can be on the internet almost, as long as it's a relevant place to be, is going to improve how you return in the search results when someone's searching for your kind of product or service. So that's good. One of the things also on the infographic, it talked about out with the old systems, legacy office technology. You'd be surprised how many people still use a regular fax machine and all of that kind of stuff, old copiers. Wow. So that's one big thing on their wish list in terms of things that they're wanting to change.
Carolyn, if I could, I was out in San Francisco back in November, and the founder of Geek Squad, he came. And he really, his card is just his Twitter account. He has nothing else. And he said, if someone gives you a card with a fax number, you should probably not take that card.
That's great. Well, we're coming up on the end of the show. We have so much more we could talk about. I wanted, Kaleef, if you want people to get in touch with you, to give some quick contact information, and we'll do the same thing with Paul as well. Go ahead.
All right. So you can reach me. I'm on Twitter all the time at KaleefMLloyd.com, and that is spelled KaleefMLLoyd, or you can visit my website, www.KaleefMLloyd.com.
Okay, Paul.
www.the1millioncups.com/Wilmington, and then also you can contact me via email, pmorris@dtcc.edu.
Excellent. Thank you